J-Bone here, and it is time for us to recap and review the bizarre 2025 F1 Spanish Grand Prix race weekend that included a lot of tire strategy, Max Verstappen reverting to his Mad Max persona, some shocking points finishers, and my weekend being completely ruined. More on that later. J-Bone! First and foremost, let's go over the biggest results from the wild 2025 F1 Spanish Grand Prix weekend. McLaren's Oscar Piastri won the Spanish Grand Prix to cap off a truly awesome weekend that saw him take pole position on Saturday by over 2/10, the largest pole margin of the entire season thus far. It was a McLaren 1-2 as Lando Norris finished just behind Oscar in P2 to lose some ground to Piastri in the World Drivers' Championship just one race after Lando made up a lot of ground on Oscar with his win in Monaco. P3 was pretty much already in Red Bull driver Max Verstappen's back pocket before a late race safety car and the subsequent shenanigans it led to handed the final podium position to Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and dropped Max Verstappen from P3 all the way down to an absurd P10. More on this story here in a minute, so stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss that. P4 went to Mercedes' George Russell, and P5 somehow went to Nico Hulkenberg, of all people, to give the German driver his best Grand Prix result since 2019, and Sauber their best result since 2022. P6 went to Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton, who was disappointed with his result that saw him finish 3 places behind his teammate who was on the podium, and also get overtaken at the end of the race by Nico Hulkenberg in what was F1's last place car headed into Spain. P7 went to rookie sensation Isaac Hadjar of VCarb, who has now finished in the points in 4 of the last 5 races despite being in a midfield car, to cement himself as one of the best rookies in recent years, who is now sitting an impressive P9 in the Drivers' Championship. J-Bone's crystal ball says that in the not-so-distant future, Hadjar will be the second Red Bull car's next victim. P8 went to Alpine's Pierre Gasly for just his 3rd points finish of the season in what is now the last place Alpine car. Alpine finishing well in the points and still dropping to last place in the constructors just shows how wildly competitive F1 is this season from top to bottom. P9 went to Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso as he finally finished in the points this season, made all the more better by the fact that it happened at his home Grand Prix in Spain. And P10, like I said, went to Red Bull's Max Verstappen because of a combination of bad luck, bad strategy, and bad self-control. Don't worry though, Max fans. Max still won Driver of the Day, and that cannot be taken away from him, unlike everything else this weekend was. In terms of other results from the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix weekend, we had some big movement in the World Constructors' Championship. Ferrari jumped from P4 in the Constructors straight up to P2 after leapfrogging both Red Bull and Mercedes. VCarb jumped ahead of Haas to P7, and Sauber leapfrogged Alpine and Aston Martin to P8 from last place, meaning Alpine are F1's new last place team. Only Williams and McLaren ended the Spanish Grand Prix weekend in the Constructors' Championship positions that they were in beforehand, which is wild. I love F1 this season. Let's now talk in detail about a couple of the biggest storylines that arose from the Spanish Grand Prix weekend, obviously starting off by talking about Max Verstappen's meltdown and what caused it. But first, a new business is oftentimes called a small business, but there's nothing small about starting your own company. My partner Shopify knows this because they were once a small business too, and that is why they are who you should trust to help you with your small business. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Tackle all the important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. Shopify makes the marketing minefield easy with built-in tools for running social media and email campaigns, so you can find new customers and keep them. In person more your thing? Shopify's award-winning point of sale connects your online and offline sales all in one place. With 99.99% uptime and the best converting checkout on the planet, you'll never miss a sale again, only with Shopify. Get all the big stuff for your small business right with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/fbone. Go to shopify.com/fbone, shopify.com/fbone. All right, we need to talk about the absolute meltdown F1 driver Max Verstappen just had at the Spanish Grand Prix and how it could end up with him getting suspended from Formula One. Max Verstappen started the Spanish Grand Prix in 3rd place behind both McLaren cars. Because it was going to be very difficult to pass both of, or even just one of, the speedy McLarens if Max were to have the same race strategy as them, Red Bull decided to roll the dice and put Max on a 3-stop strategy in hopes that it would end up being the ideal race strategy and give him an edge that he could use to pass one of or both of the McLarens by the end of the race. Max's frustrations began on lap 52 when he was chasing Lando Norris for P2 after what was supposed to be both of their final pit stops. Max got caught up in traffic while Ollie Behrman and Liam Lawson were battling each other in front of him instead of letting him past, which made Max lose time and caused him to give Behrman a frustrated gesture as he passed him. Ironically, this traffic actually benefited Max as it made Lando lose way more time than he did, but Max did not know that at the time, so it still angered him. The meltdown, however, truly began when the safety car came out and Red Bull had to choose between leaving Max out with track position on his used soft tires or pitting him for new hard tires, which were the only set that he had left. Both strategies here had their positives and negatives, but Red Bull ultimately decided to go with pitting Max for the new hards, which ended up being the call that undid Max's race and then his sanity. After being frustrated with Red Bull for putting him on the slower and less grippy hards at this crucial stage in the race without letting him know that that was what they were going to do because otherwise he would have objected, Max tried, yet failed, to hold off Charles Leclerc behind him at the restart after almost spinning out due to low grip, knocking him out of the podium positions to P4. Then, while trying to hold off George Russell, Max believed that he was forced off by George at turn 1 and took to the escape road, eventually rejoining the race still ahead of George. In order to avoid a potential penalty, Max's race engineer GP told him that he should give the place back to George, to which Max very vehemently objected before eventually going whatever fine and letting George by, but not before the crux of Max's Spanish Grand Prix meltdown, which was him intentionally ramming into George in shocking fashion while appearing to let George past him. After making this point, Max did eventually let George actually past him, but at that point the meltdown was melted down. Max initially doubled down on this move by responding, "I'll bring some tissues next time," when George complained about the move after the race, but Max did eventually release an apology where he admitted that the move was not right and should not have happened. So how could this meltdown of Max's result in him being suspended from Formula One? Max has now racked up 11 penalty points in the last 12 months, and if you rack up 12 points in 12 months, you are issued a one-race suspension like Kevin Magnussen got last season. This means if Max receives just a single penalty point in Canada or Austria, he will be banned for a race. Wild. Hilariously, because Driver of the Day voting had already closed, Max did still win Driver of the Day, despite starting the race P3 and finishing at P10 while racking up 3 penalty points and intentionally running into George Russell. You gotta love it. Truly so bizarre considering we all know who was actually Driver of the Day in Spain. Speaking of, the most shocking race result of the entire F1 season just happened at the Spanish Grand Prix. Entering the 2025 F1 Spanish Grand Prix weekend, not only had Sauber driver Nico Hulkenberg amassed just 1 points finish through the season's first 8 races, but that lone points finish of Hulk's was also one of just 2 points finishes in the 32 race history of his Kick Sauber team. Needless to say that when Hulkenberg had a bad qualifying on Saturday in Spain that resulted in him starting the race from 15th place out of 20 drivers, nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Hulkenberg to come anywhere close to finishing in the points. If anything, people thought maybe his rookie teammate Gabby Bortoleto, who would be starting the race 12th, had a shot, but not Hulk. And folks, Nico Hulkenberg took that personally. Nico took the most advantage out of anyone of a chaotic lap 1 and somehow managed to go from P15 to P11 in just 1 lap, passing his teammate in the process, before driving flawlessly and having his tire strategy pan out perfect to where he ended up P7 when the safety car came out at the end of the race. Due to having an extra set of new soft tires to put on for the restart because he was eliminated too early in qualifying to use them, as well as due to some more great driving from Hulk, Nico Hulkenberg was amazingly able to overtake Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari. That P6 was bumped up to a P5 result after Max Verstappen's 10-second penalty for playing bumper cars with George Russell was applied. Nico Hulkenberg's wildly impressive and unexpected P5 result from P15 on the starting grid in what was supposed to be F1's worst car is Hulk's best Grand Prix result since 2019, and also it instantly took Sauber from last place in the Constructors' Championship to P8. Looks like those Sauber car upgrades worked despite what we saw from Hulk in qualifying. Now, I must admit, I was absolutely praying that Leclerc and George would somehow get penalties for their roles in colliding with Max Verstappen at the end of the race so that Hulk could get his first ever F1 podium, but I, like everyone else on Earth, knew that that was wishful thinking as Max was solely to blame for those. Which stinks, because if you did not know, Nico Hulkenberg holds F1's most depressing record, that of being the driver with the most races without a podium finish in the history of F1. Soon, Nico. Soon. By the way, it would be awesome if you could toss this video a like really quick, because I'm trying to hit 4,000 likes on it so that YouTube likes me more and shows my race previews and recaps to more people this season than last season. It's 100% free to like this video, and it truly does help me out in a big way, so thanks for your consideration. J-Bone! Next up, here's how J-Bone's F1 Rookie of the Year race is looking after the Spanish Grand Prix weekend. As a reminder, I'm judging the F1 rookies all season long based on their performances relative to their cars, not just points scored. After each race, I award my last place rookie 0 points and my first place rookie 5 points, and the winner of J-Bone's F1 Rookie of the Year race will be the rookie with the most points come the end of the season. Here's how my 2025 rookie standings looked entering the Spanish Grand Prix, and here are my Spanish Grand Prix rookie rankings. In last place, it's Alpine rookie Franco Colapinto, who was the only rookie to not make it out of Q1 in qualifying, and who then was not able to do much during the race as his disappointing return to F1 continued for another race weekend. In 5th place, it's Haas rookie Ollie Bearman. Bearman finished last of all race finishers due to a 10-second time penalty that he received for leaving the track and gaining an advantage during his battle with Liam Lawson. He was on to finish P12 though without this penalty, and I think the penalty was a bit harsh, which is why I gave him the nod over Colapinto. In 4th place, give me V-Carb rookie Liam Lawson, who finished just out of the points after racing on the absolute limit against Bearman while avoiding any sort of penalty unlike Bearman. In 3rd place, it's Sauber rookie Gabby Bortoleto, who had the best qualifying session of his career on Saturday and ended up finishing the race where he started it on Sunday. In 2nd place, I have Kimi Antonelli, who was on to finish P7 before his power unit exploded and knocked him out of the race, leading to that late race safety car. And in 1st place, it is V-Carb rookie Isaac Hadjar, who finished an impressive P7 in what the constructor standings will tell you is supposed to be the 11th fastest car. Congrats, Isaac, you deserve it. So here are the updated J-Bone's F1 Rookie of the Year race standings headed into Canada. Let me know your thoughts on them in the comments. In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick 2. What if you could have all 3 at the same time? That's exactly what some of the world's most innovative brands and AI tech companies have since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with 0 commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/bone. That's oracle.com/bone. Finally today, here's the story of how I, J-Bone, was about to go a perfect 3 for 3 with my Bone-afide Spanish Grand Prix race predictions, and then had that perfect result ripped away from me at the last second. For framing, I was 9 for 24, aka 38% on the season with my Bone-afide F1 race predictions entering the Spanish Grand Prix, so I was extra motivated to do well with my 3 Spain predictions in an effort to get back to 50% before the second half of the F1 season begins in 3 races' time. This is because if I do so, I will avoid my nickname turning from J-Bone into L-Bone, which is the nickname I give myself if I ever am below 50% with my predictions in the second half of the F1 season because of how many L's that means I've taken. And guess what? 55 laps into the 66-lap Spanish Grand Prix, I pretty much had my first 3 for 3 prediction result of the 2025 F1 season in the bag. My 3 predictions were a McLaren 1-2, Max Verstappen to finish on the podium, and George Russell to finish in the top 5. And what do you know? With 11 laps remaining in the race and everyone's tire strategies playing out to the point where the top 5 was pretty much all but locked in, literally all 3 of my predictions were in a place to where I felt 100% confident I was going to go 3 for 3, so long as, nothing crazy happened. Welp, something crazy happened. Kimi Antonelli's car exploded on lap 55, which brought out a full safety car that led to pretty much every driver coming in for a cheap pit stop at the end of the race, including everyone in the top 5. The issue is that Red Bull pitted Max Verstappen but only had new hard tires left, meaning once the race restarted, he would have to defend against Charles Leclerc behind him on used softs, which was an incredibly tall order that Max was not able to accomplish, leading to him losing out to Leclerc and then getting very mad and ramming George Russell and yada yada yada. Annoyingly, I think that if Red Bull had left Max out instead of pitting him, he may have still been able to finish P3 on his used softs just because he'd have restarted the race in P1, and then there were only 6 laps remaining, meaning he could have dropped 2 positions in 6 laps and still finished on the podium. But alas, that didn't happen, and Max finished off the podium, and so I went from prediction perfection to prediction dejection at the snap of a finger. All of that means that I'm at 11 for 27, aka 41% for the season, instead of 12 for 27, aka 44% for the season thus far with my predictions, with 3 races remaining before the season is halfway done. If you do the math, you will find that I am not mathematically eliminated from getting back to 50% on the season before it's halfway over just yet, so wish me luck here with my next few predictions because I'm going to need all the luck I can get. J-Bone! Don't comment L-Bone. My name is J-Bone. J-Bone! Toss me a subscription now and ring that notification bell so that you'll get my Canadian Grand Prix preview video next week right when it drops. And while you're doing that, do not forget to like this video so that YouTube likes J-Bone more. It really, really does help me out, so if you could like it, I'd appreciate it. Special shout out to my top YouTube channel members, Joe Max's #1 hater Snow, Brian Linton, Wolf Loves Racing, Waffleopicus, Mosel Cruz, Elmar Zuber, The Tater, and David Hake. Mash that join button just below this video to get your name shouted out right here in future videos. And if you want to join 1,000 plus F1 fans in the free to join Formula Bone Discord community, you can go do that through the join link in the description. Until next time, folks, J-Bone! J-Bone!